Hello, I'm Diane Trees. The City of Winter Garden saw the West Orange Trail as an opportunity to create a destination for visitors and residents. Designing around the trail as a focal point, the city has redefined the downtown area, attracting businesses while maintaining the charm and historic elements that make it such an inviting place. Tanya Gerhardt, Director of Economic Development for the City of Winter Garden, joins us now. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diane.
Can you tell us about the Rails to Trails program and how the West Orange Trail fits into that? Some specifics about it.
Well, Rails to Trails is a national program. It's been a very successful program throughout the country. The West Orange Trail is part of it, and essentially what happens with that program is you take inactive rail systems and you repurpose them and reactivate them and bring them back to life with a trail.
Now the trail itself is what, 22 miles in length?
It is. It does connect to Lake County's trail system, and I think it's probably close to 50 miles when you include their trails.
And it's an asphalt surface, correct?
Correct.
And I would think, being asphalt, that it's probably really popular with bikers, cyclists, I should say.
Yeah,
cyclists.
Cyclists love it. A lot of skating, a lot of walking and jogging. A lot of athletes that are training utilize the trail as well.
I read that there were even some I don't know what you would call them, horse places along the way that you see.
There are extensions for that, yes.
So you've got really a whole group of people who are using it for different purposes.
That's correct.
And they all share the space peacefully.
For the most part, for the most part.
Well, I understand that downtown Winter Garden now is one of the major draws for people who utilize the West Orange Trail. What entices people to meander around the town?
Well, one reason is the trail goes right through the center of downtown. And number two, it's a very warm, inviting environment. There are a lot of things to do. There are restaurants, there are museums, there's an art gallery. We have a weekly farmers market that's very successful. And we have live music right on the trail every Friday night. A lot of the businesses have live music. So when you ride your bike through there, it makes you want to stop, I mean, and linger and stay for a little while.
Well, and as you said, with the Rails to Trails program, that the railway went right through town, so it's a perfect way to have people and then build around it. That was very clever. This was back clear in 1992 that the strategy was developed, a three-part strategy by Winter Garden to redevelop, revitalize downtown. How much did the trail play a role in that?
The trail was put in, and then what the city chose to do was go in behind there and create the streetscape, the linear park, put in all those amenities that make it a very warm and inviting place. And so once we did that back in the 90s, we just continued to build on it. So we created an open-air pavilion, a splash park that's very successful. So, you know, that outdoor living room concept we've continued to build on, and we believe it's been very successful for our city.
I think that was very innovative. That was before the times of building healthy community initiatives or complete streets really came into being. So to start that out back in the early 90s, I think is really phenomenal. Now the trail is owned and maintained by Orange County. How does the city, when it first started out, was there a lot of interaction that you could be part of the planning and the development of it?
You know, I believe the city and the county worked well together on it, and we still work well on it because, believe it or not, even though the trail is completed, there are still decisions being made about access to the trail and crossing the trail. So, you know, I think it's a good partnership.
Tanya, do you think that there was any challenge or hesitation when this first came up? Were people concerned about development? Change can sometimes be.
Change can be difficult. You know, I think there were concerns about lack of privacy. Obviously, if your house is close to the trail, for businesses, could it potentially hurt your business? Crime, anytime you're introducing people into an area that aren't normally there. People are concerned about it. But all of those concerns were quieted, and everybody embraced the concept of the trail.
Do you think that the targeted businesses, has it followed along what you wanted to bring into Winter Garden?
It's interesting because millennials and entrepreneurs, they like to locate in communities that are filled with amenities. And trails happen to be one of those amenities that they like, so that has worked in our favor. We have a pretty strong digital media cluster and health and wellness cluster, and the trail goes hand in hand with those types of businesses. I don't know that if it was planned out, it's worked in our favor.
A lot of the people that I hear talking that use the trail always are thrilled that it's so family oriented. I hear that quite a bit, that the age groups have spanned. And as you said, an outdoor living, how did you refer to it, an outdoor living room?
Outdoor living room.
Yes, that's appeals to a lot of people as you expand on it. How about further development for the trail? Do you have anything else in mind?
Well, believe it or not, we have some new residential infill projects that are occurring along the trail. And we have one project that the townhomes will be right up to the trail. Only separation will be a wrought iron fence and gate. And we are extending our downtown east to the 429, and so that it's nice if the trail continues down that direction. We have a new parking garage that provides a place for people to park and visit our downtown and utilize the trail, which we're really excited about.
You have so many restaurants in that too that have sprung up around there, and I imagine people can easily just walk off the trail or right off, sit down, and then resume with that. Talk a little bit about some of the events that you're holding downtown. Do you think that the trail has been a catalyst for making them successful? I had in mind particularly your farmers market.
Absolutely. We have a lot of people that ride their bike to our farmers market. They make a day of it. They cycle on the trail, they come to the farmers market, they have lunch, and then they ride to wherever they came from. And it's a nice outing for a family. We have a lot of events. We have some cycling events throughout the year. I would call them micro events that utilize the trail. We just started a signature health and wellness event last year that included a bike ride. And one of the things we're trying to attract is a hotel. And with the Coast to Coast Connector coming, with that 250-mile trail, Winter Garden's right in the middle. And so we're hoping that if we can recruit a hotel, then that can be a good place for people to stop and spend the night.
Promote your ecotourism a little bit more. You mentioned with the residential right close to, right on the trail actually like that. Do you think that that's been a side benefit for your residential market out there? Have prices, do you think, increased because of your proximity to the trail?
Yeah, I believe so. The trail is viewed as a great asset and an amenity. I mentioned we have some infill residential projects. Being close to the trail was really important to them. So absolutely, it's been a positive.
Would you recommend other cities with a park or a trail in close proximity? Would you recommend this economic strategy?
Yes. You know, if it fits what they're trying to do, absolutely. I think people are looking for more and more ways to recreate that are outdoors, and trails have been very successful around the country and have brought about a lot of redevelopment and infill development.
What kind of advice would you give them?
With a trail, you don't really realize the full impact. I mean, for us, a lot of tourism. We've seen a lot of tourism associated.
And that's positive.
It is positive with the trail, and a lot of things you wouldn't expect from it. So, the study that the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council did back in 2010 The economic impact for the trail for our downtown was $5 million a year. So the other aspect is just the economics of it.
And it's probably even a little more as the
Now.
popularity has grown. Tanya, thank you so much.
You're
Any other
welcome.
advice you have for anyone looking at things?
Outdoor public places are really important for communities.
And for the family, the social
And for
fabric involved.
families.
Yes, I agree.
Very much so.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.